Hello everyone, welcome back to another series on Python Interpreter. In this series we're going to be looking at if statements and conditionals such as if, then, and else. This video is picking up from the previous video on functions and arguments. So if you haven't watched that video, you're definitely going to want to check that out because in that video we went over creating a function called countFruit, which takes in apples and bananas as arguments. And those are from our getFruit function, which takes in user input and stores it as an integer. So if you didn't watch that video, please go ahead and check it out. But we're going to go ahead and get started. So we're going to update our countFruit function this time to have a conditional statement. So based on the number of bananas and or apples that the user has, we can give them a unique message. So we're going to redefine our countFruit function, still taking in our apples and bananas as arguments, but after we total up our apples and bananas, which we had as a new variable, which is type integer, total fruit is going to be equal to apples plus bananas, which we are getting from the getFruit function. We're going to have an if statement, and we're going to say that if total fruit, the variable now, which is an integer, if that value is greater than or equal to, we'll say 1,000, and then we'll put a colon here because just like when defining a function, when we're setting up the conditional statement for an if or an else, we need to have a colon. And we're going to say if total fruit is greater than or equal to 1,000, and we're going to tab over here just like we've been. We want to indent and doing conditionals. We're going to print out a message if total fruit's greater than 1,000 that says you may need a truck for all that fruit, exclamation point, and a closing quotation mark and parenthesis. So if we push enter now, we come back again and we can add an additional condition, and in this case we're just going to simply type else. If it's not greater than 1,000, so or equal to 1,000, do something else. And that else is going to be a printed message that says, how about get that fruit home safely, and closing quotation and parenthesis. So now if we push enter and we leave our countFruit function, we can go back and we can call the getFruit function, which will ask us for two variables of type integer. And the first one we'll type in is 496 for the number of apples, which will be stored as our apples variable. Here's the line that was just executed. Apples is equal to type integer, the input, so 496 will be now stored as apples. And for bananas, this is the line we're looking at from the getFruit function. We'll say 755, and we push enter. It passed that information instantly into the countFruit function, apples and bananas. So it passed in those values, which were received here, and we have a new variable called total fruit, and that total fruit is apples plus bananas. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong space. We're down here. Same thing as I just mentioned, but this time if the total fruit is greater than or equal to 1,000, print, you may need a truck for all that fruit. Well, because what we added together is greater than 1,000, we got that message. You may need a truck for all that fruit. So just to verify that we are doing and receiving the correct messages, let's do it again. Let's call the getFruit function, and this time we'll say we have 60 apples and 72 bananas, and it says get that fruit home safely, and that's because it is much less than 1,000, and so we got the else function here. So I hope you enjoyed the video. There are lots more things that we can look at with this, but this is how to do functions, arguments, inputs, and if conditionals. So at this point we have a pretty awesome looking program. Hope you enjoyed it. If you need to go back, pause this video and reference any of the things we've talked about maybe in earlier videos, feel free to do that. But we hope you enjoyed it. Give us a thumbs up, a like, a subscribe if you've enjoyed this series, and we hope to see you again in the future. Have a lovely, safe day. Take care.